the illusion of progress. Why starting businesses isn't enough for Black women entrepreneurs. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for what I promise will be a conversation that challenges your assumptions and perhaps even makes you a little uncomfortable. But as my grandmother used to say, growth happens at the edge of comfort. I want to begin by acknowledging the extraordinary woman whose insights form the foundation of today's talk, Tia Freeman. If you haven't encountered Tia's work, you're missing something revolutionary. She's not just a podcast host or an advocate for Black women entrepreneurs, she's a truth teller who has dedicated her life to peeling back the layers of comfortable narratives to reveal the complex realities beneath. Through her groundbreaking research and fearless questioning, Tia has created pathways for countless women to move beyond survival to genuine prosperity. Her work doesn't just illuminate problems, it transforms lives. Now, let me ask you a question. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America? Celebration, right? Pride. A sense that finally, things are changing. I felt that too. We all did. But what if I told you that this celebrated statistic, this narrative of unprecedented growth that we share on social media that makes headlines, that politicians reference in speeches, is actually masking a far more troubling reality? What if our celebration of these numbers has blinded us to a crisis hiding in plain sight? Here's what Tia shared with me during our recent interview for the Soft Girl Era podcast, and it stopped me cold. While Black women are indeed starting businesses at extraordinary rates, making up 28% of all Black entrepreneurs, only 15% report making a profit. Let that sink in for a moment. Only 15%. That means 85% of Black women entrepreneurs are running businesses that aren't profitable. They're working themselves to exhaustion, investing their savings, sacrificing time with their families, all while operating in the red. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. Even more striking is this: despite women of color comprising just 39% of the female population in the United States, they account for an astonishing 89% of new female owned businesses launched daily. We're starting businesses at unprecedented rates, but we're not seeing proportional financial success. We've been measuring progress by counting the number of businesses started, not by measuring their sustainability, profitability, or impact. We've been celebrating the beginning of the journey without adequately supporting the middle and the end. It's like celebrating how many people start marathons without caring how many actually cross the finish line. Through my conversation with Tia, three critical insights emerged that fundamentally challenge how we think about entrepreneurship among Black women. First, what I call the employment multiplier effect. Female entrepreneurs tend to employ more female workers, creating a positive ripple effect on female labor force participation. When one Black woman builds a sustainable business, she often creates opportunities for other women who look like her. The impact multiplies exponentially. This isn't just about individual success, it's about community transformation. Second, the profitability challenge. Despite the impressive growth in the number of businesses owned by women of color, a staggering 163% growth rate, these businesses account for only $422.5 million dollars of the $1.9 trillion dollars generated by female owned companies overall. That's less than $500 million out of nearly 2 trillion. We're starting businesses, but we're not capturing our fair share of the market. And third, the economic vulnerability factor. Recent employment data shows Black women lost 106,000 jobs in April 2025 alone, with their unemployment rate jumping from 5.1% to 6.1% in just 1 month, nearly double the 3.3% rate for white women. This economic vulnerability underscores why entrepreneurship has become both an opportunity and necessity for many Black women. We're often pushed into entrepreneurship by economic instability rather than pulled by opportunity alone. Let me introduce you to Amira Rasul, whose story illuminates both the challenges and possibilities for Black women entrepreneurs today. Amira is the founder and CEO of The Folklore, a commerce solution helping small brands, particularly Black owned and African based fashion retailers, create digital storefronts and sell products online. When Amira started her journey, she faced obstacles that would have deterred most people. She had minimal capital in an industry dominated by established players. She needed to create technology infrastructure for underserved markets while simultaneously convincing skeptical investors that African fashion brands were not just viable but valuable. What did Amira do? She refused to accept these limitations. She implemented a dual approach, creating a B2B platform for brands while simultaneously operating a retail shop to demonstrate market demand. She focused on raising capital strategically, starting with a modest $30,000 investment. Today, the folklore supports over 700 brands and has raised more than $6 million in funding since its 2018 launch. As one of the youngest Black women to raise over $1 million in pre seed funding, Amira's path wasn't straightforward but driven by a vision to connect cultures through commerce. Beyond the impressive funding milestones, Amira was featured on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in 2024, establishing herself as a leading voice in fashion technology and African commerce. Her company is actively investing in building Africa's economy by increasing exports and production, creating a sustainable model that benefits both creators and consumers across continents. But Amira's story, while inspiring, is unfortunately not the norm. For every success story like hers, there are countless Black women entrepreneurs struggling to access capital, build networks, and overcome systemic barriers. Consider Fungi and Demera, a health tech entrepreneur who founded Checkup Health, a software platform supporting healthcare providers with consultations and prescription writing. Breaking into the heavily regulated healthcare technology sector as the woman of color presented unique challenges, particularly when addressing the specific needs of healthcare providers in underserved communities. Fungi leveraged her healthcare expertise to develop targeted solutions for practitioners, while simultaneously building her personal brand as a business mentor and thought leader in the space. In 2025, the African Business Chamber recognized her as one of the top 100 African entrepreneurs and business leaders in the UK. Her journey combines healthcare expertise with technological innovation, creating solutions that address real world problems faced by medical practitioners. Beyond her business success, Fungi has established herself as a mentor and knowledge sharer through her active YouTube channel, featuring interviews with business leaders and entrepreneurs. Both Amira and Fungi represent what's possible when Black women entrepreneurs receive adequate support, resources, and recognition. But their success stories shouldn't distract us from the broader systemic issues at play. Recent labor market data reveals a concerning trend affecting Black women entrepreneurs and professionals. Black women face both racial and gender discrimination in employment, creating unique barriers that other demographic groups don't experience to the same degree. This employment vulnerability directly impacts entrepreneurial decisions and resources. Entrepreneurship has emerged as both a response to and shield against employment discrimination, with Black women creating businesses at impressive rates despite significant obstacles. According to HBCU Money, Black women's employment reached a 5 month low, while unemployment hit a 5 month high in early 2025, highlighting the ongoing economic challenges. The resilience demonstrated through entrepreneurship in the face of employment discrimination creates ripple effects throughout communities, as female entrepreneurs typically hire more women, creating additional employment opportunities. So, where do we go from here? How do we move beyond celebrating the number of businesses started to ensuring these businesses thrive? First, we need to redefine success. Starting a business is just the beginning. We need to measure success by profitability, sustainability, and wealth creation. We need to ask harder questions about access to capital, mentorship, and markets. Second, we need to acknowledge that the playing field isn't level. Black women entrepreneurs face unique challenges that require targeted solutions. One size fits all approaches to entrepreneurship support won't address the specific barriers Black women face. Third, we need to build stronger ecosystems of support. This includes not just access to capital, but also networks, mentorship, and markets. As Tia emphasized in our interview, it's not enough to help Black women start businesses. We need to help them build businesses that last. I stand before you today not just to share these sobering statistics, but to ignite a movement that transforms how we support Black women entrepreneurs. This isn't about charity, it's about unleashing untapped economic potential that benefits everyone. I challenge each of you to move beyond passive celebration to active participation. If you're an investor, examine your portfolio. How many Black women founders have you funded? If you're a successful entrepreneur, who are you mentoring? If you're a consumer, where are you spending your dollars? The time for polite conversations is over. The time for meaningful action is now, because a world where only 15% of Black women entrepreneurs achieve profitability isn't just a problem for Black women. It's a catastrophic waste of talent, innovation, and economic potential that affects us all. So I ask you, will you continue to celebrate the illusion of progress, or will you join me in a harder, more meaningful work of creating conditions where Black women entrepreneurs don't just start businesses, they build empires? The choice is yours. But remember, in a world desperate for new solutions, we cannot afford to silence the very voices that might save us. Thank you.